What is the best business idea if you love real estate? The absolute best return for real estate is what we call conceptual investing. So let me backtrack so you understand. We need some foundation under this, or else you're not going to understand it. I'm a management consultant. We redesign businesses. While I was running, when I started my first construction business at 17, developed 22 different franchises and made my first million before I was 25 years old, I needed to invest those profits into something. And of course, I chose real estate. After a while, you run out of money eventually. When you're buying a lot of real estate, rent and hold, eventually you're going to run out of money. Then I started flipping and holding to create cash flow. So we were flipping about 12 houses a month. And we were making between $30,000, $80,000 on each flip. So it was okay, but I wanted to do it better. Then we got into commercial flipping. Then on some of the properties, we made $850,000. But what we started to do was, instead of holding or even flipping, because flipping, you've got, legal fees, right? I didn't want the legal fees. I just wanted the profits from the flip. So what I started to do was flip paper, right? And not taking title. So I thought, okay, so we started making about $850,000 by flipping small malls. And we would do this with $50,000. Now, so $50,000 in the real estate game to make $850,000 is not a lot of money. It's actually a good strategy. Then we started getting into conceptual investing. Okay, this is the number one strategy. What is conceptual investing? Conceptual investing is when you see, a big hole in the market. Right now, because of COVID, there's a lot of empty office space. I'm trying to work on the concept to use the office space. But so far, I haven't found one yet. The short-term office rentals is a great idea, but when you're looking deep into those companies, they're losing their shirts. So that concept hasn't really worked out yet. But let's go back to conceptual investing. When we started doing the conceptual investing, I was mainly looking for M2 zoning. M2 zoning allowed for dirty automotive. So M2 might be different in the US. M2 is in Canada. So there's same zoning in the US. And what I found was that a lot of these strip plazas or small buildings were M2 zoned, but were not in highest best use. So I found one property here in Canada that was M2 zoned. It was on a dead-end street. Because it was on the dead-end street, it didn't have a lot of traffic. But the M2 zoning really appealed to me. So the M2 zoning, and I found that there was 11 units. The average rents were $2.25. Also showing the research, automotive was willing to pay $22. So see that gap? It's the gap. That's the conceptual investing. It's taking, average rents to ideal rents. Conceptual investing. So I hired an artist to give me an artist rendering of what auto world would look like, right? Created the artist rendering and started getting leases for the concept. And people gave me letters of intent and said, yes, I will sign a lease if you go ahead with this concept. So I started promoting this concept. Keep in mind, this was all happening in a matter of days. I only have $50,000 to tie up the property. I have it tied up for, I think, 12 days, conditional on financing. So I've got 12 days to flog this process. Obviously, I'm doing all this work beforehand. Was flogging it to China at that point because I figured using the entrepreneur program, people wanted to immigrate from China to Canada. They have money. They can buy this concept, create employment, and they get the front of the line in terms of the entrepreneur process. The entrepreneur program that the U.S. and federal governments offer. So as I'm flogging this to China, some of the investors that I know in China, a local company bought it. So here are the numbers. I tied up the property for 1.2 million. The local company bought it for 2.4 million. Okay. And one of the reasons why they bought it is because we found out additional research was that, a highway, not a major highway, but a small highway was coming through, and we could front from going on a dead-end street to the highway. And that gave us a lot of value. So by using the entrepreneur program, by looking at the rezoning and fronting on a highway, and using artist renderings and using all these different concepts and selling this idea to China, that's how we were able to turn $50,000 into 2.4 million or $1.2 million in profit. Okay. So there's a lot of opportunities. I used to fly around all over North America. Trust me, there's so many vacant buildings or buildings that have a lot of vacancies all over North America that are not in the highest best use. So it's coming up with a concept, in this case, Auto World. There's another concept we were working on, Interior Design World. So it's basically uniting similar companies so they can pool their marketing together and have people to come in that have similar needs. So the interior design concept, anyone renovating a home, you'll come into that small mall and you'll see tile shops and renovation companies and kitchen companies and painting companies and all those companies in one place, and they go from shop to shop getting quotes, almost like a trade show. But a trade show happens 2 or 3 times a year. This is there whenever you need it, and you basically connect all the different subcontractors or resources that you need. So conceptual investing. What ideas do you have for conceptual investing? Would love to hear your questions, comments below. Let's talk again soon. Take care.